welcome to our online program, week 1. Fantastic to have you on board with us, and I really look forward to working with you, as our aim is nice and clearly to be improving your flexibility, improving your feeling of health, your reduction in pain, easing any pain that you might have at your joints as we go upon this 4-week program together. Now, hopefully you've signed up to our program and received a couple of intro videos from me around the program. These videos, I think, are 2 of the things that I feel are really important to be understanding before we begin any journey, really. And that's, first of all, to understand why we're doing what we're doing. So in the first video, I discussed why we do stretching, how we're looking to make it work, and what are the benefits for you. Also, as we'll come on to in a second, the differences between static and dynamic stretching, which I think are really important to understand. Secondly, we want to be making sure that we are tracking our progress and testing ourselves regularly. Again, I think it's really important in anything you do. If you're looking to lose weight, you need to jump on the scales once a week. If we're looking to improve our flexibility, we need to be making sure that we're doing regular testing to see those improvements. So I'd encourage you to, if you haven't signed up, the links are in the description. Sign up so you can receive those videos and get going and understanding those things as we embark upon this program. So what we're going to look to do before we get going is just to talk through a couple of things. First of all, we want to keep this program nice and short. So I'm looking to keep it less than 15 minutes. The reason for that is it will allow you to be able to commit the time to do that daily. For our static stretching to be working, that's the commitment we need to make. It needs to be little and often in order to see those progress and make those improvements. So if you can embark on this daily or even twice a day, that's the ones that's going to really help you out. And secondly, we want to be holding each of the static stretches for 30 seconds in order to activate this stretch reflex to get the benefits. But we'll look to get going now from this point on. So the first thing I want you to do is we're going to go into a warm-up to warm up the muscles and do some dynamic stretching. So firstly, we're just going to flick our heels backwards. And this is just a dynamic stretch for our thigh tissue. So just very slowly warming it through. And the purpose of this is to start sending a blood supply to those areas. Your brain detects that it needs energy there, so that it will make the muscles warm, make them start to loosen out, ready for what we're about to do. And next one, we're just going to do a dynamic stretch for the hamstring. So you're just lifting that leg straight up. If you notice, I'm keeping my leg nice and straight forwards as we go through. Good. Just working through. Doesn't have to be quick, doesn't have to be sharp. We want it to be quite slow as we ease into it. Not too much of a shock of the muscle. Good. And then we just take it into a groin one where we just lift up the leg, take it out. And then you'll notice I'm just bouncing on the spot as we work through. Good, all the way through. And then what we're going to do is go the other way. So we're just going to look to work the glute tissue now, the tissue around your hip or the sort of bottom area. So we just work that through. And you should start to feel yourself warming up a little bit now, perhaps your heart rate starting to increase, all the things we're looking to do before we do any sport or exercise to really be preparing the body, both physically and mentally, for what we're looking to achieve. Good. Then on the next one, we're just going to work the hip flexors. And all you're going to do for this is just bring the leg straight back. Good. Straight back as we go through. To stretch any muscle, we take it into the opposite direction that it contracts. So if we know that the hip flexors lift the leg, we just take them back in the opposite direction into hip extension to stretch them out. Good. And then just for this last one, we're just going to go into some squat movements. If you're looking at my feet there, all I'm doing is just working through. Just keeping my heels nice and planted on the floor as we stretch down, driving those knees over the toe, and you should be feeling a stretch through this lower calf area. Good. Okay, one more. Good, and hopefully we're feeling nice and warm now. The muscles are starting to feel more flexible as we look to then get the benefits out of this static stretching session. And a reminder that we're looking to hold these stretches for 30 seconds. So what we're going to do is we're going to kick off with one of my favourite stretches of all, which is just to lay flat on your back and just to bring your leg across your body. And what you can do now, your leg, it doesn't matter which point it gets to, keep the shoulders flat on the floor, but once you feel a pull around that hip, that's when you know you're getting a good stretch. If you've got quite a lot of flexibility, you can grab hold of the leg and move it around till you find the best stretch for you. But again, just looking straight up, shoulders flat. Now, you might feel or hear even a click in your back at this point. Nothing to worry about, that's common. That's just one of the joints of your back just releasing, and all you're hearing is the air escaping from the joint that's been trapped in that locked joint. So it's a good thing. Hold that through, 5 more seconds. Good, and then we just look to take that onto the other side. So I'm just bringing that leg across. And again, you'll notice I'll just move that knee around till I feel the best stretch. And as I say, we're targeting this sort of glute and hip area. Good, lay nice and flat. The glutes are a big, big cause of lower back pain. So it's a real important area that we're making sure that we're not too tight. They're our most powerful muscle in the body, so we use them a lot. But as a result, if they tighten up and they come around and attach into that back, they can cause a lot of lower back pain. Good, and just relax. Now, the next one we're looking to do is we'll work the hamstrings, the muscles that sit at the back of the leg above the knee. Now, for this one, all you want to be doing is bringing the leg up to straight. Now, again, you might find that it gets to here, to here. It doesn't matter. What does matter is that you keep this knee straight. What we don't want is this, because that's a bit of a cheat or a compensation. So you want to try and keep this leg flat and keep that one up to wherever it goes. And you should be feeling a good pull in the back of that leg as we hold that one through. Now, you've got 3 hamstrings in this complex. So you'll find if you turn that toe out, you'll just feel that stretch move a little bit, staying in the hamstring area. But what you're doing there is just picking out another one of those hamstring muscles, then come back to straight, and then you can turn the toe in to feel another stretch as well. And so that will allow you to identify where you're most tight. Good. Hold that one through. And then relax. And what we're going to do is repeat that on the other side. So same thing, the leg that's not being stretched to be kept flat, this leg to come up to straight, okay? Wherever it gets to, once you feel that stretch, just hold. What you don't want to do is get to the point where you're pushing it and the leg's bouncing back. You want to go to the point where you'll be able to sustain that stretch for 30 seconds. And that's the same with all our stretching. We want to make sure that we're not bouncing in those stretches. Just take the toe out. Good, back to middle, toe in. Fantastic. 5 more seconds, and then slowly bring it down. Remember, we slowly go into stretches, slowly come out of them. So the next stretch we're going to do is a hip flexor stretch. The hip flexors are the muscles that sit on the front of the hips here and lift the hip. Now, you want one knee on the floor. This is the side that we're going to be stretching. Put the other foot out in front of you, and what I want you to do is just to bend forwards. Once you get into that position, you'll start to feel a stretch. To get that stretch to go further, just bring that hand back. And so I take my chest back as my knee drives forward, and I'm just feeling that pull through here, and we hold that one. Now the hip flexors, again, a very forgotten muscle, can become very tight, particularly in modern life where we in flexion a lot of the time, sitting at desks, working on the computer, can become very tight and a discomfort in that area. So we'll just hold that through for a few more seconds. And then we'll just come out of that slowly and change around. But the thing that's perhaps not understood a lot about the hip flexors are, although they sit on the front of the hips and they're a deep stomach muscle, they actually attach also onto your lumbar vertebrae, onto the spine itself. So if you're tight in that area, it can be pulling that spine around and giving you some lower back pain. So we just want to push through and hold that stretch. Good. And then we just slowly come out of that. And for this next stretch, just have a lay down onto your front. And what we're going to do here is just to work the stomach muscles. Again, another area that I feel is forgotten. So what we want to do is just to push back. So you're up into this position here. And you should feel a pull through the front. Remember, I call it a flexion addicted society, because as a society, we always want to be flexed. If you look around at anybody, they're either hunched over a computer, a phone, reading a book, but that goes against what we really be designed to do, which is to be much more in extension. So as a result, we want to constantly be working these movements to make sure we're stretching out the tight structures. Now we're just going to make this stretch a little bit more difficult by looking over our left shoulder. And as you look over your left shoulder, you'll probably just feel that have an added pull in the right-hand side of your stomach. Good. Back to the middle, then we're off to the other side. And then we'll just take that back. Great stuff. Now I'm going to come up into standing. You're probably going to lose some of my upper half, but I think it's more important that you've got the angle on my lower limbs to see the form, because the next stretch we're going to do is a thigh stretch. Now, what we're looking to do is get into this position. But what you can do is start off by leaning against the wall and tipping the hips forward, and then just getting the leg to a point where you can. From there, we just look to come into straight. And that's what you're aiming for. And then if you can release your hand off the wall to feel that stretch, which should be through the front of the leg. Now, the really important thing, and the thing that I want to help you on over the next 4 weeks about stretching, is that you have correct form. Because I see a lot of people doing stretches, but if the form's not correct, you don't get the benefits. For example, if I flex my hips forwards, I'm kind of in a stretch, so wobble there, but I'm not getting a stretch. You want to be here and stretching out the tissue correctly. Whilst you're committed to doing the stretching, you may as well get the value out of your time. Good. There. And then we'll just change that onto the other side. So again, you can lean forwards if you want, ease into the stretch and come back to the point that feels straight. Because with any stretch, what we're looking to do is pull the two attachment points of the muscle apart from each other. So the quads, the thigh muscles at the front, they attach from the hip down to the knee. So what I'm looking to do is pull the knee away from the hip. But if I let that knee go forwards or the hip go forwards, I'm bringing those points closer together and as a result, not getting the stretch. So if you find this stretch easy with your foot touching your bottom, what you can do is bring that knee a bit further back. Now you've taken the knee further away from the hip, and as a result, you'll feel a bigger stretch through the quads. Good. And we'll just hold that there. And relax. Okay, for this next stretch, what I want you to do is we're going to work the groins, which are the muscles on the inside of our legs. Just want you to take your feet to shoulder width apart, and then all you're going to do is bend in the direction of leaving that leg straight, and that's the leg that's being stretched. Slowly into it. If that feels too easy, we can take that further and deeper, and you should feel a pull on the inside here, and just hold in that position for now. Now again, we have 3 groins like the hamstring, so what we can do is move this toe position to move the stretch around that complex. So at the moment, I've moved that toe out to feel that stretch in a slightly different place in another one of the adductors. And then I can bring it back to the middle, and I can even bring it in a little bit to just be making sure I'm hitting the whole complex. Good, and we'll come back up. And then we'll just bend in that direction there. And again, so you should get that stretch there. If you're not, take the leg a bit further, go a bit deeper. Feel that there, we'll hold that stretch. Good, so we just push through, and then we'll just take that toe out. So good, and hopefully you feel that stretch. Same area, but just slightly moved. And then we're back to the middle, and then we're toe in. Sit as we just hold. Keep pushing that one through. And relax. Now the last area I want to work today is this calf area. And again, the thing that's not understood about the calf too much is that there's actually 2 muscles that form the calf complex. What's called your gastrocnemius and your soleus. So what I commonly see is people stretching one and not the other. So what we're going to do is look to stretch both. This is what you can do leaning against the wall, or you can do it just in standing. And you want to take your feet a distance apart. Now, the key teaching points, the 2 mistakes I see on this one is that people always go in and their back foot's pointed out. So if you're looking at your back foot now and it's not straight, straighten it up. We want both of those feet to be pointing towards 12 o'clock. And also you want to keep this back heel on the floor. And what you should see as I push through is just my calf muscle there, that gastrocnemius just elongate as I put that stretch through. And again, you should be feeling that in this area through here. And we're looking to hold this for 30 seconds. All the way through, 5 more seconds. And then relax. And what we're going to do now is just bring both feet a little bit closer together. I mentioned you've got this other muscle in there called your soleus. For this one, what I want you to do is bend both of the legs this time, but my heel is still on the floor. I'm almost just trying to, like I'm trying to sit back into that stretch. And you should be getting that just a little bit lower there. Now, these are really important muscles to be flexible. They control how much movement of our knee goes over our toe, what we call dorsiflexion. And dorsiflexion is what we need to be able to walk, to be able to run. So if we get a restriction in that movement because the calf and soleus are too tight, then it can cause a lot of problems further up the chain. So it's one thing that in clinic that we're always looking to assess is how much dorsiflexion someone has, because any lower limb injury, if we're restricted at the ankle, it will be a huge contributing factor. So just going to hold that for 10 more seconds. And then just a change over. Good, all toes, so into that calf one, so the back leg's straight now, heel flat on the floor, all toes pointing forward, and we just bend through. And just see that calf muscle, feel that calf muscle coming under tension there. So this is the one, if you've gone through and done your tests, this is where we're sort of measuring the knee to wall test, the two variety of that. That you want that toe to be as far away from the wall, but stretching these muscles out, the thing that's really going to help that through. So you push through. Good. Few more seconds. And relax. Okay. And then last stretch. So toes all straight, back heel on the floor, and we just bend through. And then we just hold that one there. Pushing all the way through. If you start to feel the muscle ease, you can look to just sit back further into the stretch to get a bigger, deeper stretch through there. I'm just going to hold that for 10 more seconds. And then slowly come out of the stretch. Just shake out all the legs there. And that's it for week one. It's as simple as that. As I say, a 10-minute program that allows us to hit all of the kind of lower limb muscles that could be contributing to any of those back, knee, ankle pain, and just give us a real better feel for our general mobility. So what I want you to do now is to commit to at least 10 minutes a day, going through this program each day. And then at the end of the week, or at the end of in 7 days time, what you want to be doing is reassessing those test scores. A reminder that if you don't have those flexibility tests, just sign up to the form in the link and we'll send those over to you. And then if you can be doing it more than once a day, fantastic. Twice a day, 3 times a day, if times allow, where the more we do it, the more benefits we're going to get. But the other thing I would encourage you to do is little and often. So what I don't want you to do is to be really keen now, go and do it 3 times tomorrow and then leave it for 4 or 5 days. I'd rather you do it once a day for the next 7. But that's week one. I'll be looking to join you in 7 days' time, where we'll be able to progress those stretches a little bit. In the meantime, keep asking me questions. I'd love to see your feedback on how it's going. If you've got any comments, if you've got any pictures, if you've got any videos, send them over to us. We'd love to see those, to see that we're helping you and to answer any questions that you may have.